Yuna had seen many strange things in her 5 years as a diplomatic courier, but this was new. The Valdrin guards had forced her out of her ship at gunpoint and dragged her through corridors of crystal and metal. Now she stood in the center of a massive arena, looking up at thousands of alien faces staring down at her. The arena was enormous. The floor was smooth stone, marked with old stains that Yuna did not want to think about. Around her, tall walls rose up to seats filled with creatures from dozens of different worlds. Some had scales, some had fur, some had skin that seemed to shift colors. All of them watched her with hungry eyes. Above the arena, the sky was a pale orange. This planet, Cathera 9, orbited a dying star. Yuna had been supposed to land here, deliver Earth's trade proposal to the Valdrin Empire, and leave. Simple. Easy. She had done it 100 times before on other worlds. But the Valdrin had other plans. A figure stood on a raised platform across from her. He was tall, maybe 7 feet, with dark purple skin and 4 arms. His armor was covered in medals and symbols that meant nothing to Yuna. His face had too many angles, and his eyes were completely black. This was Carix, the war prince of this sector. "Human!" Carix called out, his voice booming across the arena. The translator in Yuna's ear turned his words into something she could understand. "You come to our world and speak of trade, of partnership, of equality." He laughed, and the crowd laughed with him. "But you are small, weak. Your species has no claws, no armor, no venom. Tell me, human, why should the mighty Valdrin Empire treat you as equals?" Yuna kept her face blank. She had been trained for diplomatic situations, but this was beyond anything her instructors had prepared her for. "War Prince Carix," she said, keeping her voice steady. "I am here under diplomatic immunity. Taking me prisoner violates 17 galactic treaties." "Treaties," Carrick spat the word. "Words on paper. The Valdrin respect only strength, only power, only the natural order of predator and prey." He spread his 4 arms wide. "You will demonstrate your worth, human, or you will demonstrate your weakness. Either way, my people will learn what your species truly is." In orbit above the planet, Yuna knew her crew was watching. Hana, the cultural attaché, would be trying to contact the Galactic Council. Tai Min, the ship's captain, would be trying to break through the Valdrin's jamming signals. But they were too far away to help. She was alone. "I request the right to leave," Yuna said. "If you want to test humanity, there are proper channels, combat trials, sanctioned demonstrations." "No," Carrick said simply. "This is our world, our arena, our rules." He looked up at the crowd. "The human speaks of channels and rules. She hides behind words because she has no fangs. Let us show her what real strength looks like." The crowd roared in approval. The sound was deafening. Carix raised one hand, and the arena fell silent. "For 10,000 years, the Valdrin have ruled this sector. We have conquered 60 worlds. We have defeated every species that dared to challenge us, and we did not do it with words." He pointed at a massive door at the far end of the arena. "We did it because we understand the truth of the universe. The strong survive. The weak perish. And we have taken the strongest predator from our homeworld and made it our symbol, our apex beast." Yuna felt her heart beating faster. She looked at the door. It was starting to open. "Human," Carix continued, "you will now face the Krell beast. It has killed champions from 17 species. It has never known defeat. If you survive even 5 minutes, I will consider your people worthy of a second meeting. If you do not—" He smiled, showing too many teeth. "Then Earth will know not to send any more diplomats." The door was fully open now. Darkness waited beyond it. Yuna took a deep breath. She reached down and touched the small device on her belt. It was not a weapon. The Valdrin had checked her for weapons and found none. This was just a communication beacon, something every courier carried. They had let her keep it, thinking it useless. "War Prince," Yuna said quietly, "this is a mistake." "The only mistake," Carix replied, "is your species thinking you belong among the stars." A sound came from the darkness beyond the door. It was low and rumbling, like thunder before a storm. The crowd leaned forward in their seats. Some aliens cheered. Others made sounds that Yuna's translator could not interpret. Then the beast appeared. It was massive, 12 feet tall, covered in thick armored plates that looked like they could stop bullets. It had 6 limbs, each ending in claws as long as Yuna's forearm. Multiple eyes dotted its head, glowing with a sickly yellow light. When it opened its mouth, Yuna saw rows of teeth designed for tearing meat. The Krell beast stepped into the arena, and the stone floor cracked under its weight. Yuna stood perfectly still. She watched the creature, studying how it moved, how it breathed, how its eyes tracked her. Years of training kicked in. Not diplomatic training. Different training. Training she had received before she became a courier. The beast roared. The sound shook the air and made Yuna's bones vibrate. The crowd went wild with excitement. "Begin," Carrick's commanded. The Krell beast charged. It was fast, much faster than something that size should be. It covered half the arena in seconds, claws extended, mouth open wide. Yuna moved. She rolled to the side just as the beast's claws slammed into the stone where she had been standing. Chunks of rock flew into the air. The beast turned, surprisingly agile, and charged again. Yuna dodged again, and again, and again. She was not trying to fight. Not yet. She was learning. Every movement the beast made taught her something. How it turned, how it anticipated, where its blind spots were. The crowd's cheering began to change. They had expected the human to die quickly. Instead, she was dancing around the arena, always just out of reach. "Fight!" someone in the crowd shouted. "She runs like prey," another voice called. But Yuna kept moving, kept observing, kept learning. 3 minutes passed. Then 4. The beast was getting frustrated. It was used to quick kills. At 5 minutes, Carrick stood up. "Human!" he roared. "Face your death with honor, or die as a coward." Yuna stopped moving. The beast stopped too, confused by this change. It lowered its head, preparing for a final charge, and Yuna smiled. It was the first time she had smiled since entering the arena. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knows something you do not. She reached for the communication beacon on her belt. The communication beacon was small, no bigger than Yuna's thumb. The Valdrin guards had looked at it when they searched her and dismissed it as harmless. After all, they were jamming all frequencies. What good was a communicator that could not communicate? But this beacon was not trying to reach the ship in orbit. It was trying to reach something much closer. Yuna pressed the button and spoke. Not in the common galactic language. Not in English. She spoke in Korean, her first language, the language of her childhood. "Yogia, Sora, come home, girl." The words echoed across the arena. The translator devices that most aliens wore struggled with the unfamiliar language. They caught fragments. "Here. Come. Home." But the meaning was unclear. Carrick leaned forward on his platform. "What is this? What did the human say?" The Krell beast charged again, sensing that its prey had stopped moving. Its claws raised high, ready to strike down. Yuna did not move. She kept her eyes on the sky, then the crowd noticed it. A sound, distant but growing louder. A deep thrumming that made the air vibrate. It was coming from above. The Krell beast stopped its charge. Its multiple eyes looked upward. Something in its primitive brain recognized a sound it had never heard before but somehow understood. Danger. Predator. Greater predator. The thrumming grew louder. The sky, already orange from the dying star, began to darken. A shadow passed over the arena. Then another. The shadows were circling. "What is that?" an alien in the crowd shouted. The arena's defensive shields, designed to keep beasts in and weapons out, began to flicker. Something was pushing against them from above. Something big. In orbit, inside the courier ship. Steadfast, Taman was staring at his screens in disbelief. "She actually called her," he whispered. "I thought the captain was joking when she said Yuna brought her." Hana grabbed his arm. Can Sora get through the shields? The shields are military grade, Taemin said. They are designed to stop missiles and he stopped. On his screen, the shield readings were going crazy. She is not stopping. She is going right through. On the planet's surface, the arena shields shattered like glass. Pieces of energy scattered and faded. The crowd screamed. Some aliens started running for the exits. Karix remained standing, but his confidence was cracking. What is this? He demanded. What did you do, human? Yuna looked at him calmly. You wanted to show me your apex beast, she said. Her voice was quiet, but somehow everyone in the arena heard it. So I thought it was only fair to show you mine. Something descended from the sky. It was massive, at least 30 feet long from nose to tail. Its body was sleek and powerful, covered in scales that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. 4 legs, each with talons that looked sharp enough to cut steel. A long neck ending in a head that was all angles and intelligence. Eyes that glowed with a blue-white light, like stars. Wings. Enormous wings that stretched out as it landed, creating a wind that knocked several guards off their feet. The creature touched down beside Yuna with surprising gentleness. The stone cracked under its weight, but it made barely any sound. It lowered its head, and Yuna reached up to touch its snout. Her hand looked tiny against the creature's scales. Hello, Sora, Yuna said softly. Did you miss me? The creature, Sora, made a sound. It was not a roar. It was more like a deep purr, filled with warmth and recognition. The sound of a being greeting someone it loved. The arena was silent except for that purr. The Krell beast, the undefeated champion, the pride of the Valdrin Empire, was backing away. Its yellow eyes were wide. Every instinct it had was screaming at it to run. This was not prey. This was not even competition. This was something from nightmares. Karix found his voice. What? What is that thing? Her name is Sora, Yuna said. She was still petting the creature's snout. She is mine. And I am hers. We have been partners for 8 years. Impossible, Karix said. No creature that large could be controlled. It would kill you. Controlled? Yuna looked at him with something like pity. War Prince, you do not understand. I do not control Sora. She is not my pet. She is not my weapon. She is my friend. Sora raised her head and looked at Karix. Those glowing blue-white eyes focused on him with an intelligence that was terrifying. This was not an animal. This was something that thought, that understood, that remembered. You asked why the Valdrin should treat humans as equals, Yuna continued. Let me tell you about Earth, War Prince. My home world is what the galaxy calls a death world. Everything there evolved to survive in conditions that would kill most species. The gravity is higher. The weather is more violent. The predators are more dangerous. She gestured to Sora. Humans are not the biggest creatures on Earth. We are not the strongest or the fastest. We have no natural armor, no claws, no venom. By all rights, we should have died out millions of years ago. Then how did you survive? Karix asked. His voice had lost its arrogance. We made friends, Yuna said simply. While other species fought every creature they met, humans learned to look at a predator and see a potential partner. We looked at wolves and saw hunting companions. We looked at horses and saw transportation. We looked at birds and saw messengers. We took the most dangerous creatures on our world and made them family. Sora's purr grew louder. She moved her head down and gently nudged Yuna with her snout, nearly knocking the small human over. Yuna laughed and pushed back. Sora's species was extinct, Yuna explained. Humans brought them back. We found their genetic code in fossils and gave them life again. And when Sora hatched, when she opened her eyes for the first time, I was there. I raised her. I trained with her. I flew with her. Flew? Karix repeated. Yuna smiled. Sora Nalgi, the Korean word for wings. Sora extended her wings fully. They were magnificent, stretching across half the arena. The membrane between the bones was nearly transparent in the light, showing intricate patterns of veins and muscles. The crowd gasped. Even the Krell beast, still backing away, stopped to stare. Humans do not conquer apex predators, Yuna said. We befriend them. We earn their trust, their loyalty, their love. And in return, they give us the same. She looked at Carix directly. So when you dragged me into this arena and threatened my life, you did not threaten just a human. You threatened Sora's family. And that, War Prince, was your first mistake. Carix opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Your second mistake, Yuna continued, was thinking that I came here alone. Sora lifted her head and roared. It was not like the Krell beast's roar. This was deeper, louder, filled with power and fury. It shook the entire arena. The sound carried across the city outside, and people in buildings miles away would later report that they felt it in their bones. When the roar ended, the silence that followed was absolute. Yuna looked around the arena at the thousands of aliens watching. Earth wants peace, she said. Earth wants trade. Earth wants partnership with the Valdrin Empire and all species in the galaxy. But do not ever mistake our desire for peace as weakness. She placed her hand on Sora's neck. We are the species that made friends with dragons. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Finally, Carix found his voice. It was much quieter than before. What do you want, human? I want, Yuna said, to finish delivering my message. The one I came here to deliver before you decided to play games. Carix stared at Yuna and the creature she called Sora. His 4 hands gripped the railing of his platform. Around him, his advisors were whispering urgently, but he waved them away. This situation had gone far beyond his control, and he knew it. You want to deliver your message, he said slowly. Here? Now? In front of my people? Why not? Yuna replied. She was still standing next to Sora, one hand resting on the creature's scaled leg. You wanted a demonstration of strength. You wanted to know what humans are capable of. Well, War Prince, now you know. But that is not all you need to learn. Before Carix could respond, one of his security commanders, Jinwoo, stepped forward. He was younger than the War Prince, with lighter purple skin and only 3 medals on his armor. His hand was on his weapon. War Prince, he said in the Valdrin language, not realizing Yuna's translator could understand. We should fire on the creature now. All weapons. It is dangerous. Sora's head snapped toward Jinwoo. Her glowing eyes fixed on him, and a low growl rumbled in her chest. The security commander froze. I would not do that, Yuna said calmly. She spoke in the Valdrin language, showing that she had understood everything. Jinwoo's eyes widened in surprise. Sora does not like being threatened, and your weapons will not work on her the way you think they will. How would you know what our weapons can do? Jinwoo challenged, though his voice shook slightly. Because I read the reports, Yuna said. I read all the reports about Valdrin military capabilities before I came here. That is what diplomats do. We study, we learn, we prepare. She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Your plasma rifles can punch through 6 inches of standard armor. Very impressive. But Sora's scales are not standard armor. Jinwoo looked at Carix, waiting for orders. The War Prince said nothing. Let me show you something, Yuna said. She spoke in Korean to Sora. Sora, boyojweo. Show them. Sora straightened up to her full height. She was enormous, towering over everyone in the arena. Then, slowly, she began to change. Her scales, which had been dark and light-absorbing, started to shift. They became reflective, like mirrors. Then they began to glow, not with light, but with stored energy. Sora's species evolved on a world with intense radiation, Yuna explained. Their scales do not just protect them. They absorb energy, heat, electricity, radiation, even plasma. They store it and use it to power their bodies. A plasma rifle would not hurt her. It would feed her, the crowd murmured. Some aliens were taking notes. Others were recording everything with their devices. Jinwoo lowered his hand from his weapon. He looked at Carix. War Prince, what do we do? Carix was silent for a long moment. Yuna could see the thoughts moving behind his black eyes. He was a warrior, but he was not stupid. He had made a mistake. and continuing down this path would only make it worse. Stand down, Karix finally said. All security personnel, stand down. He looked at Yuna. Human, you have made your point. Your species is more capable than we believed. But that still does not answer the question. What do you want? I already told you, Yuna said. I want to deliver my message, the one from Earth's diplomatic council. She reached into her jacket, slowly, making sure everyone could see her movements. She pulled out a small data chip. Everything is here: trade agreements, cultural exchange programs, technology sharing. Earth is offering all of this to the Valdran Empire. Why? Karix asked. If your species is so powerful, why do you need us? Because power is not everything, Yuna said. The Valdran are skilled engineers. Your ships are some of the fastest in the galaxy. Your crystal technology is beautiful and efficient. Earth wants to learn from you. And in return, we can teach you what we know. She walked forward, still holding the data chip. Sora moved with her, matching her pace perfectly. They crossed the arena floor together, human and creature, moving as one unit. You see, Yuna continued, humans learned something important a long time ago. We learned that making friends is better than making enemies. We learned that cooperation creates more than conquest ever can. When we found Sora's species in the fossil records, we could have brought them back as weapons, as monsters to unleash on our enemies. But we did not do that. They reached the center of the arena. Yuna stopped and looked up at Karix's platform. We brought them back because they deserve to exist, because they were beautiful and intelligent and had been lost to time. And when they hatched, when they were vulnerable and small, we protected them. We fed them. We showed them kindness. And they remembered. Sora made that purring sound again. She lowered her head and gently nuzzled Yuna's shoulder. The human reached up and scratched under Sora's jaw, in that spot that made the creature's eyes half close in contentment. That is what humans do, Yuna said. We make friends, even with dragons. Karix stood up. He walked to the edge of his platform, looking down at Yuna and Sora. You speak well, human, but words are easy. How do I know you mean what you say? Yuna held up the data chip. Read the proposal. Take your time. Consult with your advisors. Check every detail. Earth is not asking you to trust us blindly. We are asking you to give us a chance to prove ourselves. And if we refuse? Karix asked. Then I will leave, Yuna said simply. I will take my ship and my crew and go home. Earth will be disappointed, but we will respect your decision. We will not force you into anything. She paused. But War Prince, think about what you saw today. Think about what you learned. Humans can be powerful allies, or you can wonder what other surprises we might have. The War Prince considered this. The arena was still silent. Everyone was waiting for his response. Finally, Karix nodded. Come up here, human. Bring your data chip. We will talk. Yuna smiled. This one was genuine. Thank you, War Prince. She turned to Sora and spoke in Korean. Yogi Gadaria. Wait here. Sora made a questioning sound, but settled down onto the arena floor. She curled her tail around herself like a cat and watched Yuna with protective eyes. Yuna walked to the stairs that led up to Karix's platform. As she climbed, she could feel thousands of eyes watching her. When she reached the top, she stood face to face with the War Prince. Up close, he was even more imposing, but she did not let herself be intimidated. Before we begin, Karix said quietly, so only Yuna could hear, I must know. Would your creature have killed me? If I had ordered my men to fire, would she have attacked? Yuna looked back at Sora, who was still watching from below. Sora is protective, she said honestly. If she believed I was in real danger, yes, she would have acted. But she is not mindless. She understands the difference between a real threat and posturing. That is why she did not attack Jin Wu when he reached for his weapon. She knew he was scared, not dangerous. Incredible, Karix murmured. To have such a powerful ally. Partner, Yuna corrected gently. Not ally. Partner. There is a difference. An ally might leave you. A partner stays. Karix looked at her with something that might have been respect, Perhaps, he said, your species has much to teach us after all. In orbit, Hana and Taemin were celebrating. She did it, Hana said, laughing with relief. I cannot believe she actually did it. Never doubt someone who has a dragon, Taemin replied, grinning. Never doubt someone who has a dragon and knows how to use a translator. Back in the arena, Yuna handed the data chip to Carix. Shall we discuss trade agreements? She asked. The War Prince took the chip. For the first time since Yuna had met him, he smiled. It was not a friendly smile exactly, but it was genuine. Yes, he said, let us talk. But first, I must ask, how many of these creatures does Earth have? Yuna's smile widened. Enough, she said simply. More than enough. The meeting room was much more comfortable than the arena. Carix had ordered his servants to bring chairs, though they had struggled to find one that would fit Yuna's smaller frame. She now sat across from the War Prince and 3 of his advisors. Through the large windows, she could see Sora still in the arena below, surrounded by curious Valdran scientists who were keeping a very safe distance. Your creature is causing quite a stir, Carix observed. He was reviewing the data chip's contents on a holographic display. Sora is not mine, Yuna corrected for the 3rd time. She is her own being. We are partners. One of the advisors, an older Valdran with white markings on his purple skin, spoke up. This partnership you speak of, how common is it among humans? Very common, Yuna said. Most humans have at least one animal companion. Dogs, cats, birds, horses. Some have more exotic partners. Sora is unusual because of her size and capabilities, but the relationship itself is normal for us. Fascinating, the advisor said. On Valdran Prime, we have beasts of burden and food animals, but the concept of partnership with another species is foreign to us. That is because you think of other species as beneath you, Yuna said bluntly, as tools or resources. Humans learned a long time ago that was the wrong approach. Carix looked up from the display. You speak boldly, human. You asked me to be honest, Yuna replied. I am being honest. The Valdran Empire is powerful, but you isolate yourselves. You conquer instead of cooperate. It has worked so far, but the galaxy is changing. Before Carix could respond, the door to the meeting room burst open. A Valdran soldier rushed in, breathing heavily. War Prince, forgive the interruption, but we have a situation. What kind of situation? Carix demanded. More humans are arriving. A ship just entered orbit. They claim to be official representatives from Earth's government. Yuna frowned. That should not be possible. I am the only courier assigned to this sector. She activated her communicator. Taemin, what is going on? The captain's voice came through clearly. Yuna, we have incoming. It is an Earth diplomatic vessel. The ambassador himself is on board. He says he heard about your situation and came to assist. Heard how? Yuna asked. We have been under communication blackout. Sora, Taemin said simply. Her tracking beacon. When she entered the atmosphere, it automatically sent a distress signal to the nearest Earth facility. Standard protocol for partnered handlers in dangerous situations. Yuna closed her eyes briefly. Of course it did. She looked at Carix. War Prince. It seems we are about to have more company. Carix stood. Bring them to the arena. If more humans are coming, everyone should see them. 20 minutes later, a human shuttle landed in the arena next to Sora. The creature watched it with interest but did not seem concerned. When the shuttle doors opened, 3 humans stepped out. The first was an older man in formal diplomatic robes. He had gray hair and walked with a cane, but his eyes were sharp. This was Hyunsik, Earth's senior ambassador to the Valdran sector. The second was a woman in a white coat, carrying several data pads. Her name was Mi-sun, and she was one of Earth's leading xenobiologists. The third was a younger man who immediately walked over to Sora and began checking her scales. This was Daejung, Sora's veterinarian. Yuna hurried down from the meeting room to greet them. Ambassador Hyunsik, I did not expect you. The old man smiled. When I heard that one of our couriers had been forced into a deathmatch, I thought I should come personally. Also, I wanted to meet the Valdran face to face. They have been avoiding my calls for months. Karix descended to the arena floor as well. He looked at the three newcomers with suspicion. More humans. Should I expect an army next? No army, Hyunsik said calmly. Just an old man, a scientist, and a veterinarian. We came to check on Yuna and Sora, and perhaps to clear up some misunderstandings. Misunderstandings, Karix repeated flatly. Yes, Hyunsik said. He looked around the arena at the gathered Valdrin. Many had stayed after the earlier events, curious to see what would happen next. I understand that you questioned why the Valdrin Empire should treat humans as equals. You pointed out that we have no claws, no armor, no natural weapons. You are right about all of that. He gestured to Misun, who activated one of her datapads. A holographic image appeared in the air above them. It showed a blue-green planet. This is Earth, Misun explained. Our home world. At first glance, it looks peaceful, beautiful even. But Earth is what we call a death world. The gravity is 1.3 times what most species consider comfortable. The atmosphere has high oxygen content, which makes fires burn hotter and faster. The weather systems are violent, with storms that can destroy cities. Another image appeared, showing various creatures. A large cat with fangs, a massive bear, a shark with rows of teeth. Earth is home to millions of species, Misun continued. Many of them are apex predators. Humans are not the strongest or fastest, but we survived anyway. Do you know how? You said earlier, Karix replied, looking at Yuna. You made friends. Exactly, Hyunsik said, but it is more than that. Humans evolved to be social. We formed tribes, communities, nations. We learned to communicate in complex ways. We learned to see patterns and solve problems. And most importantly, we learned to look at other species and see potential instead of threat. Daejung finished checking Sora and walked over to join the conversation. Take Sora's species, for example. They went extinct on Earth 65 million years ago. We call them dragons now, though they had a different name back then. When humans discovered their fossils, we could have just left them dead. But we saw what they could have been, what they should have been. So we brought them back. That must have been dangerous, one of the Valdrin advisors said. Bringing back a predator species. It was, Daejung admitted. The first few attempts failed. The dragons were aggressive, uncontrollable. We almost gave up. But then we changed our approach. Instead of trying to control them, we tried to understand them. We studied their behavior, their needs, their intelligence, and we discovered something amazing. He walked over to Sora and placed his hand on her leg. The massive creature looked down at him with obvious affection. Dragons are social creatures. In the wild, they lived in small family groups. They were protective of their young and loyal to their pack. When we raised them with that understanding, when we treated them as family instead of tools, everything changed. Sora hatched in a facility on Earth, Yuna added. I was there. I was chosen to be her partner because I had experience with large predators. I had worked with lions, bears, even great white sharks. But Sora was different. From the moment she opened her eyes, she was looking for her family, and I became that family. Misun brought up more images. These showed humans with various animals, a person riding a horse, a shepherd with a dog herding sheep, a falconer with a bird on their arm. For thousands of years, humans have formed partnerships with animals, she explained. We domesticated wolves and turned them into dogs. We tamed horses and used them for transportation. We trained birds to hunt for us. We kept cats to control pests. In every case, it was a partnership built on mutual benefit and trust. And now, Hyunsik said, we do the same with species from other worlds. We have partnered with crystalline beings who help us build better computers. We work with plant-based species who teach us about sustainable farming. We even have partnerships with sentient clouds who help us predict weather patterns across the galaxy. He looked directly at Karix. Humans do not conquer, War Prince. We cooperate. We build bridges instead of walls. And that is why we are successful. Karix was silent for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. You make it sound easy. It is not easy, Hyunsik admitted. It takes time, patience, and effort. But it works, and it creates something lasting, something that conquest never can. He smiled. That is what we are offering the Valdran Empire. Not submission, not domination, partnership. 3 days had passed since Yuna's arrival on Cathara 9. The arena that had almost been her grave was now the site of something unprecedented, a joint human-Valdran cultural exhibition. Valdran scientists examined Sora with fascination, while human diplomats shared stories of Earth and its many partnerships. Yuna stood on the observation deck of the Valdran command ship, looking down at the planet below. Beside her, Karik stood in silence. The War Prince had been different since that day in the arena. Quieter, more thoughtful. Your people are very patient with all our questions, Karik said finally. Curiosity is natural, Yuna replied, and answering questions is easier than fighting wars. Karik nodded slowly. I have been thinking about what Ambassador Hyunsik said, about partnership versus conquest. The Valdran have ruled this sector for 10,000 years through strength. It is all we know. Strength has its place, Yuna said. But there are different kinds of strength. The Krell beast in your arena was strong. Sora is strong. But there is also strength in knowing when to talk instead of fight. Strength in admitting when you are wrong. Strength in changing. I was wrong, Karik admitted. About humans. About what strength means. When I saw you in that arena, I saw someone small and weak. I did not see what you really were. And what am I? Yuna asked. Dangerous, Karik said, but there was no malice in his voice. Not because of your dragon, because of what you represent. You represent a different way of thinking. A way that might make everything the Valdran have built feel outdated. Yuna considered this. Change is frightening. I understand that. But it does not have to mean destroying what you have built. The Valdran are skilled engineers, brave warriors, and proud people. Those things do not go away if you also learn to be partners instead of conquerors. Below them, they could see Sora in the arena. Daejung was giving a demonstration to a group of Valdran younglings. The children were squealing with delight as Sora performed tricks, showing off her agility and intelligence. Your dragon could have killed me, Karik said quietly. That day in the arena. If you had given the command, she would have done it. Yes, Yuna admitted. She would have, because she trusts me. Because we are family. But you did not give that command. No. Why not? Karik asked. I threatened you. I put you in danger. I dishonored you in front of thousands. Yuna turned to face him fully. Because killing you would not have solved anything. It would have made Earth and the Valdran enemies forever. And because... She paused, choosing her words carefully. Because I understood why you did it. You were testing me, testing humanity. It was wrong, yes. But it came from a place of fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of change. Karik's black eyes studied her. You are wiser than your years, Courier Yuna. I have a good teacher, Yuna said, glancing down at Sora. A chime sounded. Karik's communicator was alerting him to an incoming message. He checked it and nodded. The council has made their decision about Earth's proposal. Yuna felt her heart beat faster. Everything had led to this moment. And? They want to meet with Ambassador Hyunsik, officially. A full diplomatic summit. Karik smiled slightly. It seems your demonstration was convincing. Relief washed over Yuna. Thank you, War Prince. Do not thank me, Karik said. I am not doing this as a favor. I am doing this because it is the right choice for my people. Earth has technology we need, knowledge we want, and... He paused. Perhaps friends we could use? Friends? Yuna repeated, smiling. That is a good start. Later that evening, the humans gathered in their temporary quarters. Hyunsik, Misun, Daejung, Hana, Taimin, and Yuna sat around a table sharing a meal from Earth. The food was simple but comforting after days of Valdran cuisine. So, Hana said, grinning at Yuna, how does it feel to start an interstellar diplomatic incident and then resolve it in less than a week? Exhausting, Yuna admitted. I just wanted to deliver a data chip and go home. Instead, you changed everything, Hyun-sik said. He raised his glass. To Courier Yuna, the woman who taught the Valdran Empire that humans do not come alone. They all drank to that. What happens now? Timon asked. Now, we negotiate, Hyun-sik said. Trade agreements, cultural exchanges, technology sharing. It will take months, maybe years. But we have started something important here. And Sora? Daejong asked. She has become quite the celebrity. She loves the attention, Yuna said with a laugh. But I think she will be happy to go home soon. She misses Earth's gravity. Do not we all, Misun muttered. A knock on the door interrupted them. Yuna stood and opened it. Karik stood outside, looking uncomfortable in the human-sized corridor. War Prince, Yuna said, surprised. Is everything all right? I came to apologize, Karik said stiffly. Properly, without an audience. What I did to you was wrong. I let my pride and my prejudice cloud my judgment. I could have killed you. And for what? To prove a point that was false? Yuna stepped out into the corridor. War Prince, you do not need to. Yes, I do, Carix interrupted. Honor demands it. You came here in peace and I met you with violence. You could have responded with vengeance, but you chose wisdom. He struggled with the words. I am grateful. And I am sorry. Yuna was quiet for a moment. Then she held out her hand in the human gesture of greeting. Apology accepted. Let us move forward, instead of looking back. Carix looked at her hand, confused. What is this? A handshake, Yuna explained. A human gesture of agreement and friendship. You grasp my hand, I grasp yours, and we shake. It is symbolic. It shows that we meet as equals. Slowly, Carix extended one of his 4 hands. It was much larger than Yuna's, but he grasped her hand gently. They shook. Equals, Carix repeated. I am beginning to understand what that means. A week later, Yuna stood on the landing pad, preparing to board the Steadfast for the journey home. Sora was already on board, having been moved to the ship's cargo bay, which had been converted into a comfortable space for her. Around the landing pad, a crowd had gathered. Valdran citizens who had come to see the humans off. Many of them waved, a gesture they had learned from the humans. Some held signs written in broken English. Thank you, Earth people. Come back soon. Dragons are cool. Carix approached, accompanied by his advisors. Safe travels, Courier Yuna. Thank you, War Prince. Yuna bowed slightly, a sign of respect. Before you go, Carix said, I must ask you something. That day in the arena, when you smiled before calling your dragon. What were you thinking? Yuna smiled the same smile she had smiled then. I was thinking that you had no idea what you had just done. You showed me your apex beast and expected me to be afraid. But on Earth, we have many apex predators. And then we have humans. And when you threaten a human, you learn something important. What is that? Carix asked. You learn what we keep as family, Yuna said simply. She turned and walked up the boarding ramp. At the top, she paused and looked back. War Prince, I hope we meet again. Next time, as friends. Next time, Carix agreed, as friends. The Steadfast lifted off, engines humming with power. Inside, Yuna made her way to the cargo bay where Sora waited. The dragon's head perked up when she entered. Ready to go home, girl? Yuna asked. Sora made her purring sound, the one that meant contentment and happiness. She lowered her head so Yuna could scratch under her jaw. Taemin's voice came over the ship's intercom. All crew, we are jumping to hyperspace in 5 minutes. Yuna, Ambassador Hyun-sik wants to see you on the bridge. On my way, Yuna replied. She gave Sora one last pat and headed for the bridge. Hyun-sik was standing by the main viewport, watching Cathara 9 recede into the distance. You did well, he said when Yuna entered. I almost died, Yuna pointed out. But you did not, Hyun-sik said. And now Earth has a new ally. The Valdran Empire is one of the most powerful forces in this sector. With them as partners, we can accomplish much. Do you think it will last? Yuna asked. The partnership? That depends on both sides, Hyun-sik said. But I am hopeful. You showed them something they needed to see. You showed them that strength comes in many forms, that making friends is not weakness, that humans are not prey. Yuna looked out at the stars. I just showed them Sora. You showed them more than that, Hyunsik said gently. You showed them who humans really are. Clever, brave, kind, and most importantly, never truly alone. He smiled. We bring our world with us, Yuna. All of it. The good and the powerful, the beautiful and the dangerous. When the Valdrin look at humans now, they will remember that. They will remember the woman who walked into their arena and walked out with a dragon. The ship jumped to hyperspace, and Cathera 9 vanished behind them. But the memory of what happened there would last much longer. Back on the planet, Karik stood in his office, looking at a holographic image frozen in time. It showed Yuna standing in the arena, hand resting on Sora's neck, both of them looking directly at the camera. The image had been taken during the cultural exhibition. He had ordered copies to be made and distributed throughout the Valdrin Empire, not as a threat, as a reminder. A reminder that the galaxy was bigger than they knew, that strength meant more than they understood, that sometimes the smallest person in the room was the most dangerous, and that humanity was not a species to be underestimated. Carrick smiled, a real smile this time. Then he turned to his work, already planning the next meeting with Earth's representatives. The future, he thought, was going to be very interesting.